Good morning, Jules. Jules Rivers. Good. Why don't we go ahead this morning? Let's go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience, tell you all about yourself, and we're going to dive in. We're really excited about this conversation today.
I'm a retired bank executive after 28 years. Well, at my 18th year, I discovered ayahuasca in 1998. That's where everything changed. So for 10 years, I was living this double life of bank executive and ayahuasca practitioner until in the real estate crisis, mortgage crisis of 2008. I realized that my career has ended and I retired. So I started full-time doing ayahuasca work. I've been ayahuasca facilitator for 17 years now. I've been drinking for 27. I have created 2 ayahuasca churches, one in the Indian American and another Brazilian. It's like a dissident movement from the União do Vegetal Church from Manaus. I opened a branch of that church in Florida. I'm no longer in that church either, so my journey took me to the psilocybin and mushrooms 2 years ago. This is why I created Shape here. So, this is spiritual healing by Astral Parasite Extraction. And that comes from an interesting journey that I had the gratitude of getting acquainted with this Russian practitioner that showed me how this works. And I was very impressed with the modality, with the protocol. I have done mushrooms before, and in college and all that, how that works, but never did it the way he showed me to do it. And it was a protocol about doing consecutive days of heroic doses of mushrooms. And I was willing to experience that because in our conversations when we met, we talk about the way he does this, and he was very interested in me doing it. And it made sense when he's talked to me about this thing of astral parasites, because what happens in my long-standing career or experience in ayahuasca, about 1% of the time, from time to time, and ayahuasca practitioners can confirm this. Participants once in a while gets like crazy, like out of control. They scream, they kick. Sometimes they become aggressive, and sometimes you have to even to tie them up until this psychotic breakup recedes a little bit. And I have in my church, I have done hundreds of ceremonies and thousands of people, and every time this happened, I was the guy that do the dirty work of controlling this person and staying with them until they get better. And I was looking at their eyes, and I was looking at trying to connect, and I saw that these were people were like, I mean, I don't like to use the term, but it's like possessed. I mean, they were out there. There's no way to connect. There was something in their psyche that was enjoying the experience of being in third dimensions, in 3 dimensions, and having access to this nervous system of this patient. And those cases I cannot explain. I just move on. The guy get better. You get a little bit of hot soup. He goes back home. He comes next month and everything is okay. And we forget about it. And we move on.
Mm-hmm.
All those cases in my scientific mind always bother me. I mean, it's like, what's going on? And with my paradigm, which I used for decades, which is the shadow work of Carl Jung, helping people find these traumas, these dark places, and release them and cry them out, relieve the trauma, and get better, and they get healed. This was my ayahuasca work, and still is.
Yeah, for sure.
And I became good at it. I mean, interpreting dreams, symbols, archetypes, and but I couldn't figure out these cases. And when this guy talked to me about it, Astral Parasite, also I start opening up, because everything that was like too woo-woo, weird, like demons and parasites and things that are not tangible, or I cannot access in a more concrete way, I was not even paying attention to that. So my paradigm stays scientific, Jungian. But this thing about parasites really caught my attention. This may be explaining these cases. And that's what I agreed to submit myself to the protocol. And it was true. So I saw my own parasites and removed them effectively and changed my life. I'm feeling freedom for the first time in these issues that after 27 years, I always appreciate ayahuasca. She's the queen. I mean, I know no problem with that. And I have experienced an incredible amount of healing through those years. I come from a very traumatic, dysfunctional childhood. And thanks to ayahuasca, I'm not even the shadow of what I was when I began drinking. So my appreciation for ayahuasca and the things that she had done for me is infinite. But what happens is that there's issues, and I see that in others too, that are so deep in the subconscious that, for example, you feel that you healed that with ayahuasca, and 6 months later you're like coming back to it, and these patterns like tend to come back, and that's because you haven't really gone down to the root, and so that's why when I start considering this. So let me continue, because we have like a glitch here in the transmission. I consider to do this myself, and I saw that ayahuasca sometimes don't get as deep as it needs to go. So there's a particular issue that I had from my childhood that I thought that I have healed with ayahuasca, and that healing process ended in 2018. And I turned the page, and and it was healed. And thank you very much. Ayahuasca is incredible. I resolved this childhood issue with Mother Ayahuasca. I was so happy. I move on in life with a lot of gratitude for that healing. But fast forward 5 years, okay, I submit myself to this protocol, and then I found a deeper layer to that trauma, that when I released it and this parasite was extracted, that was the full completion. The circle ended, and I really got relief, and I felt freedom, and I still have it till this day. And I found all the things that also I released, and that was the beginning of it. That's the origin of Shape here. That's what I decided to share that with others. I learned everything from this guy, and he said, my blessings, go ahead and spread the word. And that's what we're doing. We're doing retreats for that purpose.
Let's go back to 1998 and your first ayahuasca experience. What brought you to that medicine? How did you find out about ayahuasca? What brought you to that point?
Okay, well, I was very curious about psychedelic experiences. First time I smoked cannabis or marijuana when I was 18, in the last semester of my high school. I already was admitted in college. I was already ready to go. And I said, well, maybe this is the time to join my friends that I rejected for some time, because study was my priority. Then it changed my paradigm of reality when I smoked marijuana for the first time. And then it started a journey of exploration. So I did LSD, I did mushrooms in lower amounts. And in college, I was in the University of Miami at the end of the 70s. I'm 68 now. And I tried everything. So I was like exploring this nature of reality, how a chemical compound can change my perception of reality inside my brain, was intriguing and fascinating to me. That reality was not something so fixed and three-dimensional like a box that I have learned that it was. So I was exploring that. So then I got married, had my kids, I went to this career, forget about drugs, forget about that, got into this rat race, and I did it. All the success symbols, golf club, penthouse facing the San Juan Bay, everything, sports cars and all that. But there was something there that was like still uh, empty. I'm trying to find something, and it was my childhood traumas that was seeking resolution. And one day, I have this friend, and I read about ayahuasca in 1988 for the first time. It was in the science section of the New York Times on Sunday. Those thick New York Times editions on Sunday. There was a whole section about technology and or cultural or something. And there I read an article about ayahuasca, this South American drink, tea that indigenous take, and they can see the past, the present, and the future. What? A chemical compound activating a vision of the future in my brain? Come on, I need to try that. So I cut out that article and put it inside a book. And for 10 years, it was sitting there. One day, 10 years later, in my apartment, I was already divorced. I had this girl that I invited to have a glass of wine. You know how that works. And she took that book and opened it, and the article fell to the floor. So she, what is this? And she saw my excitement about that I would one day go to South America to drink ayahuasca. Few months later, nothing happened with that girl, so I was not the guy. So a few months later, she calls me back. Hey, Julio, Jules Henry Rivers is my pen name for my books. My true name is Julio Rivera. I'm Puerto Rican. It's a Spanish name. So Julio, I saw your excitement a few months ago. There's a shaman coming to Puerto Rico doing ayahuasca sessions. I think you will be interested. Of course. So I went, thanks to this girl that I only saw once. But she saw my excitement, and referred me to ceremonies of Don Jose Campos. Still today, my teacher shaman, 27 years, my closest friend. And I joined him. I started traveling to Peru. It was an incredible first experience, as usually it is for the first time. It was very convincing. It showed me in that first experience this thing that was happening in my work professionally, that I had no idea that could be true. And I was frustrating my first experience. I declined to accept that message because it was too unrealistic for me. It had to do about my boss, which was the president of the bank. And no, this guy is cool. This guy is a public speaker, is a civic leader. Cannot be that. I mean, this ayahuasca thing is not. It's another trip. This is I didn't like this. I don't accept this. A couple of weeks later, the confirmation of that came up in my face, and I said, "Ooh, okay, there's something here." So I called back the guy that organized the session. When is the next one? So that became me, made me a believer or advocate, and the rest is history.
It's pretty amazing. Sounds like a lot of people's stories that really venture onto this path. Those first few experiences are kind of like, wow, I understand something here, but what is it? And, I think you really nailed this all because it all comes to the core of childhood trauma. We're always trying to heal something, right? And when we're 50, 60, for 68, look at, you're a prime example of why we should all be using plant medicines at 68. You look phenomenal. But, when we all have these experiences, it's when you have that paradigm shift, when you see something different and you say, fuck, nothing's ever worked before. This is working. What is this? And that's the magic.
But the magic is also, we were talking about this in our last podcast, you have to be willing to listen. The messages, I always say this, the answers are all inside of us. The medicine lights up those answers if we are willing to look and listen and pay attention. And it's those who are able to look and pay attention that keep going further.
And this is why we're here, right, Michelle, right, Jules, is to educate educate the masses out there that, you know, SSRIs don't work for everybody. We're all in some kind of trauma modes. We all had traumas and we all had DNA passed on that we don't even know about. So we're all kind of broken. And this is a way to actually get out of that and see these new paradigm shifts. And when these shifts happen, man, dude, life's amazing. You know, we have to, like Michelle said, we have to accept these. You know, fear is something that keeps us from enjoying life. It really does. And if more people knew that everything outside of fear is your joy, you got to face that, overcome that, go through it. And once you're through it, conquer the next one. Boom, conquer the next one. But start with that first, okay, I'm scared. I'm going to do mushrooms. You know, I can tell you one thing. Nobody has ever died from psilocybin. Never. So we can guarantee you're not going to die. You might kill some bad qualities of yourself, but you know what? You're not going to die. So I love this group you formed. So we're going to dive into shape. We're going to talk a little bit about shape and what it's all about because, you know, reading into what you're doing here, I think it's very important because we come out of these experiences, even sometimes for myself, diving into all these medicines. I come out of these experiences. I'm like, what was that? I'm still stuck. What was that? Especially in the beginning of these journeys, because we don't know anything different. So let's talk about shape. Let's talk about what you're doing with shape.
Okay. Well, we're doing retreats in Jamaica because this is 100% legal in Jamaica. And we have the support of the government of Jamaica. I met the chairman of the Psychedelic Committee of Jamaica, which is an incumbent senator, and is a psychiatrist. She fully supports our work, and we feel okay in Jamaica. So medical doctors, scientists, CEOs come to Jamaica to do this because they have these reputation risk concerns doing these kind of things, and they illegally, and they may have consequences in their careers or their reputation. So they feel okay going to Jamaica safely, and we have a very nice place, upscale. Is not for everyone, you know. It's $5,000 a retreat of 4 consecutive heroic dose sessions, combined with Tibetan entity extraction techniques that are
You
applied
say
to
large
beauty.
doses. What kind of large doses are you talking about?
Well, let's see. Let's say we start with a entry dose of 7 to 8 grams, and then from there we calibrate depending of your reaction, because everyone has a different kind of absorption rate and different kind of sensitivity to the substance. So we may reduce it a little bit for some people that are, we know what we're doing, we know how they react, and we know when you the next day you have to reduce the dose so they have a optimum experience. And for some guys that with 8 grams are just looking around, open eyes, watching other people's experiences. Next day he's gonna get 10, 12. You know, we're gonna make sure that this guy. Well, some guys we have to hit them with the bat, so that resistant they are, or that personality structure is so strong that the ego is so strong that you need to increase the dose and make sure that we want to see you in this state of your default mode networks gets 90% shut off. Like you're still there, you know that you're there, you know what you're doing, you're not unconscious, but you are like mumbling, you're like, oh, okay, you are gone. That's when the default mode network is disabled or, partially disabled. And we're able to dig into the deeper layers of the subconscious to apply these techniques and remove these parasites. In that state, is that that is possible. Otherwise, we all have these defenses that protect, and it's genetic. It's our defense system.
So you
We
really
don't
need
want
those
to.
larger amounts, larger doses to get to that, because you really can't get to that at 3 or 2 or 3 grams.
It doesn't happen with 3 grams. You have a very conscious experience. You may cry, and you may have some release here and that, which is the traditional psilocybin experience. The clinical dose of psilocybin, the one that is being proposed and probably approved by the FDA, is 25 milligrams of psilocybin for depression. And that is the science have determined to be the ideal dose for depression, 25 milligrams. And that equivalent, more or less, about 2.5 grams of mushrooms, assuming 1% of the mushroom is psilocybin. So 1%, which is 1% of 1 gram, is 10 milligrams. So assuming that is the mushroom, so 2.5 grams is the dose proposed for depression. In our case, we're talking about 150 milligrams of psilocybin, like 4 times, 5 times the dose recommended for depression. But this is recommended for patients that are like, you have to be careful, this and that. This retreat is for people that already know how that is, that really want to go for it. And either they have been non-responsive to other modalities, or there are cases that are so troublesome for some facilitators that they don't even want to touch them to treat them. People in certain conditions, we take all those cases.
In what way? You mean people with mental conditions? What way do you mean?
Well, we're getting into dangerous territory here, but there's a few proponents, including Jerry Mansinski and others, for example, that say that these voices that schizophrenic hear are entities talking to them. And he has experienced going with dozens of patients in psychiatric hospitals, and he's convinced that these are entities. In fact, because doctors do not engage in conversations about the voices with the patients because these people are crazy. This guy started to talk to the patients with interest about those voices, and he found out that there's something strange about that. He identified 23 different kind of voices, 23 different kind of parasites of entities. So there's work that have been done, and it's off the record, and it's not accepted by the medical associations. Of course, this is too strange of the world to accept. I mean, they mere accepting that there's something inside your brain that is not responding to your will. But this is what addictions are. I mean, an alcoholic wants to stop drinking, and he's convinced, and he commits to the family, I want to stop drinking. And something happens, and next weekend the guy is in the bar. And then he feels guilty. No, I have to do it again. This time I'm gonna be stronger. And then again, and this is a parasite. And I write this in my book, Ayahuasca Wisdom, because I realized that with ayahuasca, this is why you come back to your habits that you thought that you have removed with ayahuasca. And so I became to specialize in hardcore, deep cases with ayahuasca that are resistant to change. And I found out that this is something more. This is in my model of the psyche that I propose in this book. It's a quantum model of the psyche. These are like different. These are like other me's. We are not one. We are multiple. There's multiple Julios inside of me. The husband, the sports guy, the friends that drinks beer with friends. I mean, different parts of me. I mean, family systems has put this to the surface. I mean, that we have all these different parts. So there's parts of us that become independent from our, they're fed with this psychic energy of this behavior. We create them, we strengthen them with our behavior, with our beliefs, and they start becoming themselves, and they start thinking by themselves, because we're creators. We create life, we create music, we create poetry, we create different parts of us with behavior, with repetition, with belief. And these are mental patterns that get so strong that they detach from your voluntary realm, and they start acting by themselves. And they want to continue living, and they live from this psychic energy that you produce with that behavior. It could be alcohol, it could be drugs, it could be porno, it could be violence, it could be whatever, toxic behavior. And this toxic behavior wants to perpetuate their existence, and they trigger and induce you to continue with the behavior so they can feed for you. They don't want you dead, because they end up dying too. They need you alive, suffering, and they continue to induce this behavior so they can continue living, and that is a parasite. This is what we want to extract.
Yeah. Isn't that more of a science than science? I mean, look, we are talking reality here. We're talking this is what really happens. But, in turn, we want to give people pills. So here's what really baffles me what we're talking about here, though. When we talk about ayahuasca, we talk about a purgatory where you're going to go deep to your traumas and you're going to purge these traumas out. In psilocybin, with my uses of psilocybin for the last so many years and how I've come to understand it, it's more of a mind medicine. So where are the entities, or how are you extracting the entities through the psilocybin process? Because they're two different alkaloids. These
Right.
are two different components. 100%. One's a spirit more so, and one's more mind controlling. That's what I feel. So can you explain how this happens?
So, well, what you just said, let me clarify that it's not that different from ayahuasca and psilocybin in terms of the entities. I mean, I can see, and that what happens is that with ayahuasca, you cannot go as deep as you can go with the psilocybin. And this is because the ayahuasca has a limitation due to the vomitive feature of the medicine. So to experience what you experience in psilocybin with 10, 12 grams with ayahuasca, that it's possible, you need to drink, like, let's say, 10 cups of ayahuasca. But your body cannot withhold 10 cups of ayahuasca. You throw up. So there's your depth in your experience with ayahuasca has a limit. Cannot get even very, because you throw up and experience. So this protection mechanism, self-protection mechanism of ayahuasca prevents you to go even deeper into your subconscious. I mean, and so you start repeating that drink every 2 weeks, every month, and you start peeling the onion, as we say it, and going deeper and deeper and getting more details. And ayahuasca starts throwing up all these breadcrumbs, and you start putting together this puzzle and understanding more and more your process of healing, especially the deep ones. There's people that drink ayahuasca one time and they're done because their issue was not that deep. And I've seen that. I find people 5 years later in the supermarket and say, well, Julio, that one time changed my life. I'm happy, my family, this and that. One time. But guys like me need continuous work. And so ayahuasca can get into the entities. I have all these possessions that I just described earlier. For me, are entities that show up in ayahuasca. In fact, I have done a 3-day retreat with someone privately after drinking many times with me. And that time, this entity came up and the guy was totally possessed. And, I failed to have assistance, which I normally have in group sessions. This was a one-on-one, so it was my mistake of not having someone to assist me. And this guy got violent and attacked me. He was totally possessed, and I ended up, in the hospital. So that's another story that's going to be published on an article soon in a major magazine.
Julio,
But,
how do you serve somebody 10 grams of psilocybin? Because that's a lot of medicine to take. We listen. We love psilocybin. It is our medicine. We believe in it. We're on a mission with psilocybin. But it's not like ayahuasca where you can drink a cup of it. We lemon tech and you do it different ways. 10 grams of psilocybin is a lot of mushrooms to take. How do you serve that?
well, same way you serve 3, just put more. Same lemon tech, same mixing. We do it we do 10 minutes of lemon tech, because if you do too long with lemon tech, it starts to degrade the psilocybin itself. You have to be, you have to measure the time. You don't want to. It helps a lot. It accelerates the absorption and the depth of the psilocybin and the quickness, how fast it starts kicking in. That's very good. We use it. It's proven to be effective. We have to be careful not to leave it in the lemon too long, because it degrades the experience. But yes, we do that. Just more grams, mixer, and off we go. And again the next day, and again the next day, 4 times, because these things are so encrusted in the subconscious that sometimes one session is not enough. Sometimes it happens in the first session, but sometimes it happens in the third, because these things are, depending on the case, very, very embedded in your. So it's also a lot of training before the session, because you have to go with the right mindset, because the mindset is crucial. Set and setting, of course, is crucial. That's why we do it in a luxury place with chef, organic food, private room, private bathroom, king bed, nice places in Jamaica. But the mindset is the most important. So what happens is that we do interview deeply the prospects to come to the retreat. We want to make sure that they're going to be benefit, and want to make sure that they want to get rid of something that bothers them, and some people wants to get rid of something that bothers them, but really they don't want to, because they identify themselves with the entity. So they for example, again, alcohol. I want to stop. I'm gonna stop drinking, but from time to time, no. You have to commit yourself, and you want to get rid of this. If you don't want, there's no way we can remove anything. And this is the mantra that we speak to these participants before the retreat. It goes like this: you have to, like a good surgeon, okay, with the scalpel of self-observation, before the retreat, you have to dissect your entity from your identity. The problem is that these entities get so smart because they are as smart as you, because you created them. You cannot outsmart your entity, ever. So you cannot trick your entity. And your entity will convince you that this entity is part of you, your identity. No, when you say, it's a big difference saying, I'm a smoker, that I like to smoke. When you say I'm a smoker, you have accepted your entity as part of your identity. Okay, so you have to look at, every time you feel like the craving to smoke, watch it. Watch it until you can see it before it turns the corner. There you're coming. I see you. And then you explore your inner world with this scalpel of self-observation and corner the entity somewhere. There you go. This is the one I want to remove. And when you are aware and you corner it, you come to Jamaica, and it's done. I mean, it's done. The problem when we have problems is what you still not sure because you think this is part of you and this is not part of you. The hard part is the participant realizing that this is not me. And that's very hard. And when you achieve that with our training and our guidance and our coaching, it's all downhill. You got to get rid of it. Forget it. Come to Jamaica and you're done. And you go like freedom, oh, thank you, and you cry and wow, and you change permanently, like I was. It's
So your
incredible.
entity is not your identity then, right? So we'll do this then. I got 3 questions for you. So what kind of strains do you use? It doesn't matter, your strains. Now, when you're doing those ceremonies back to back to back to back, are they building up a tolerance to that every time, like psilocybin does? So would your third experience not be as like you would be like less tolerance? Because I'm learning more and more about psilocybin and more and more about these psychedelics. And I think it really breaks down to the alkaloids. And that's my feeling. I study it, I look at it more. It has these alkaloids that we're replacing. But those are the questions I really have. When you're diving that deep and you're doing those ceremonies, boom, boom, boom in a row, isn't that building your tolerance lower?
And talk about the strains, because we are very into the different strains. We talk to mycologists all the time about the different strains, and we are all learning more and more, sort of like cannabis did, right? About different strains.
You're good at this. Good questions. Well, yes, strains are very important. So we pick up the strongest that we can find. So if we have give you 10 grams, are 10 grams of the 1%, 2%, even 3% of psilocybin, strong doses. Because the psilocybin is the molecule. We want you to get the best concentration because of these other elements, cellulose and all things in your system, we want to minimize those. So the more powerful, the better. That's about strength. So let's talk about the kind of strengths. Yes, I agree. There's tolerance. So what we do is that we give you 4 different strains each day, different strain. So the brain cannot expect what's next, and get it and surprise the brain every day with a different strain. So you cannot figure it out that quickly. So that's that. And and we took vinyl penis envy, monster mac, strong strains. Haven't used enigma, but what happens is that we source ourselves from Jamaica. In Jamaica is legal, and they have these labs. I mean, we have been invited because we buy respectable amounts, so we are clients, and they have invited us to check their facilities. And these people know what they're doing. I mean, there's no concerns about government intervention. So we're talking about white coats, microscope, clean rooms. I mean, the works. And they come up with these unknown strains that are developed by natural selection by these guys. And there's one that this is the king of the mushrooms that we used on the 3rd day. That is incredibly powerful. And they call it Omni. And it's a very tiny purple mushroom. We have the lab test of the concentration. It's an unbelievable number that I don't want to mention. And with 3 grams of that, I mean, you are like elsewhere. And we do it on the 3rd day to make sure that we get to the bottom of whatever. The 4th day, we give you a more like sacred, forget the name, sacred something. For the last day, is a spiritual mushroom. Is very integrative and good for the last day. And then the last day, the day number 5, we don't drink. We just a day of doing nothing. Nobody goes to the airport. Is to integrate and to socialize and to have 3 good meals, go to the swimming pool, do journaling, and that's basically the retreat. So there's preparation. Preparation is before Jamaica, And first we have private interviews. There are 3 facilitators. There's me. There's another ayahuasca facilitator for many years, friend of mine for more than 50 years, high school buddy and incredible facilitator. And we have an ordained Buddhist monk that is the guy that really goes into the extraction during the experience. And so we're 3 of us for 7 people. We only take 7 persons. So to qualify for our invitation, you need to have an interview with the 3 of us online, and we interview you deeply and to make sure that we can help you, that you are the person that we can help, and that you have what it takes. I mean, and what it takes is all about attitude. I mean, you really want to go for it. If you need to convince you, you're not going. So when you explain the model, instinctively from the soul level, people say, yes, that's for me. I want. Sign me up. I mean, you feel it that this is for you. This is the people that we take. So the interviews. And then once you are approved and this guy is gone, so we start to train you about about the mental attitude to go. And that's preparation. Then when you arrive, and then we have a group session online. When you arrive to Jamaica, you already know the other 6 people that you're gonna meet. I mean, we have interactions. So it's important that you feel at ease with the setting, with the set, and then so you're already friends with the other 6 guys when you arrive to Jamaica. You see them in the airport. Hey, here you are, and it creates this bonding, and that starts to grow as a very incredible thing. So it's so then that night we have a welcome dinner, and then we explain all the little details of what's going to happen in the retreat, and we've got agreements, and we sign these release forms, legal forms, and we have this celebration of being there. Good meal. Everyone goes to bed. There's no TV. There's no cable TV. There's no phones. We pick up the phones. From there on, you are on it, and we give you the phones at the end. So you're not scrolling internet or the news or anything. We ask the hotel to disconnect the cable service, and your TV and your room does not work. So it's important that you just focus on your journaling is the only thing that we encourage. So that's it. And then we have experience number 1 on day 2, let's say, after you arrive. It is done by 1 p.m. Okay, 2 p.m. around there. It lasts. You may think that 10 grams, 12 grams will last like 10, 12 hours. It's not like that. It's the same length as 3 grams, but the intensity is, much more. So by 6, 7 p.m., we're done with the session. And then we have some fruits during the session, at the end of the session, watermelon, all that. So you can hydrate and lots of water during the retreat. And at night, you have a buffet, a nice meal. And then you go to bed at your normal sleep cycle. We don't want to interrupt your normal sleep cycle, because that's when you're going to integrate the experience without an interruption of your sleep cycle. Some ceremonies end at 3 or 4 in the morning, whatever, and then you lose the next day, like recovering, and you're never on it again. So we make sure that you go to bed at 11, 12, the time you normally go. Eat process, have a good night's sleep. In the morning, you have a la carte breakfast. Whatever you want, the people in the kitchen are preparing you whatever you like for breakfast. Coffee is okay. And then by 11, we have integration of what happened the day before. This integration every day of the 4 experiences. So the last day that you do nothing is a relaxing day. That's the integration of session number 4. So every day is integration, is group integration. the sessions are recorded with AI technology, so it's immediately transcribed, and you receive a recording and a text of what you said in the integration session, so you can remember what you said, because we tend to forget what we say. And so at night you can read that again. Oh, this is what I said this morning. That's true. And then you can read what you said yesterday after your experience today. Oh, look, yesterday this. So you have a lot of self-integration. And next day they share that with the group. As you know, group integrations are fantastic because you learn so much from other people's experiences. You can connect and you can relate to other people's experiences and relate it to your own, and have even more understanding about your own process. And this we do every day. And then after they go home, we have a 2-week and a 30-day integration online. Plus, they have the phone numbers of all the 3 facilitators. They can call us anytime, 24/7, to share any issue or concern that may arise during the integration period. And that works very well. That's basically, in a nutshell, how that works.
Interesting. Very interesting. So, you've helped a lot of people on this path. You've helped doctors, physicians, Grammy Award winners. And you mentioned a couple things that really resonate with me, especially on this path. Your default mode system. The default mode system is something that really, through psychedelic exploration, that we really get in tune with. And, we cut that off a lot. And I think that's really helpful. Another thing that I think, and you keep mentioning it, entities. Are entities more of your childhood trauma?
Yeah, you can. There's several classifications of entities. Our Buddhist monk is writing a book about that, because there's the entities that you create. Okay. There's entities that are like more social, like creations, like, for example, this is called egregores in Buddhism. Our Buddhist guy, I will leave that subject to our Buddhist monk. He's very good at it. He was trained in the monasteries about extraction techniques, and he knows a lot about that. But there's objective, subjective, and external entities, like nature entities that you find in the forest. There's social entities like political fanaticism, sports fanaticism. These are collective entities that can influence you if you get into it and you become part of that collective entity. And there's the entities that you referred, that are the trauma-based entities, which is basically another angle of observing the Jungian shadow. This you can. So the beauty of perception of the trauma as an entity, okay, is that you have, as a patient, you have a basis to understand and heal yourself, because it's something like more concrete. You can grab the pan by the handle when this trauma is an entity. When you live it like, oh, this is what happened to me. Trauma, shadow, aspects that are so abstract that you have no way to really visualizing your problem. Oh, it's an entity. It's the entity of selfishness. It's an entity of whatever, lust, that gets me into this porno addiction. Oh, it's the entity of that. So when you visualize trauma as an entity, it helps you from day one to begin a process of removal. And it helps so much in your own psyche to visualize it as an entity. It's, for example, it can give you a feeling when you have this physical condition that you're feeling this pain over here. I don't know what it is. And the next day it goes like that. What is maybe? It is cancer. It is this. It is that. And you go to the doctor and you say, all the blood tests. No, it's this. Whatever it is. Those is diseases and it is. Whatever it is. Okay. Okay. You still have it, but you start feeling better just by knowing the name of the disease. Oh, it's that. Okay, now we have a treatment, and but before you were like scared, and you don't know how to go about it. So that is like an analogy of what happens when you visualize trauma as an entity. It's like when you put a name of it, the healing process already started.
Yeah, and you're
So
right
this is
because I've worked the integration for the last 7, 8 years since I heard my first ayahuasca experience, and I feel the best thing that we ever did, you touched on the very beginning, is when you realize where that is coming from, and you can actually visualize it, and you actually know, oh yeah, that happened when I was like 7. Now you're talking to that person, and you're kind of, hey, dude, just let this go. That's what I used to do. It used to be really silly, but hey, let this go. I'm done. I'm done. And when you realize and you find that point, that gone, it's fucking gone. And then the next one, I mean, because there's so many of them. We think we go to, in the beginning, we just touched the surface. Oh, yeah, that was when Billy tripped me when I was 7. Whoa, wait a minute. That was when I was bullied for a whole year. And whoa, George Kupchak beat the shit out. Now you're really getting to some places. So, that's, I think, the most important part about all this is that part is when you can go deep inside and you can find those traumas and that's what psychedelics are for.
So that's how it works. You're on it. You nail it. Uh, so this is the basis of healing, finding the source, finding the root, and when you name the root with some name, you're cornering right there the condition, and that prepares the road for removal and absolute healing, dissolution. So it's another way of saying the same phenomena, but it's very powerful. And when you and sometimes you need you heal it without those extreme things that we do. But most of us, and that's what I found out. Because I thought I was healed. I was good. 20 years drinking ayahuasca. I'm a, oh wow. And then this got me. Whoa. I went back to my mother's womb. I got this entity that my mother had during when I was 3 weeks into my conception. And I saw exactly, and the mushrooms download all this information that is in my DNA. The whole story is there, and it unfolds and shows me. This is incredible. So yes, there's levels of depth. There's levels of depth.
It's really
So
incredible. I just never seen for the mental health and wellness a medicine works so well like psychedelics do. If you are open to it.
it's just a drug experience, a lot of colors and images and fractals and a water trip. Is like a rock concert, and with no consequence. So this is the beauty of psychedelics. When you turn it into a healing process, you can really align yourself with your divine self, with your higher self, and manifest in your own body the creation that you're supposed to be. And when you do that for years, it's like the law of diminishing returns. Every time it's less that you get, like a little crumbles here and there and put it together, because you mostly remove the heavier parts, but then it goes into the more subtle things. And ayahuasca continues, and is limitless. You can continue drinking all your life, and you always find subtleties that will help you to be a better person. With psilocybin, however, that allows you to go deeper because of the dose thing that I told you, then you can go to, deeper to the wounds of your mother, your early toddler stage, and understand things that why you are the way you are, because the first year, the first 7 years of your life is where everything is set up in your brain, and you start discovering, earlier and earlier, before you have your memory banks fully developed as a baby, that you cannot remember because only you have cellular memory. You don't have brain memory about the things that happened when you were 1 year old. But then with mushrooms or ayahuasca, depends how deep is the access. You can relive things that happen before you have this brain capacity of memory, of remembering. It's in your cells, it's in your body, everything is recorded. So it's the healing journey is an amazing, extraordinary project that gives you so much satisfaction in life, a meaning to dig deeper into yourself and become your best potential.
Absolutely. Healing never ends, Jules. So we're gonna probably end this here, but we're gonna have some closing reflections. Okay, we're gonna talk about your book.
Well, I have several books. I show you the latest one.
Ooh, I love this one. I'm gonna get this one.
Listen, this book, this is the hard copy that you can buy on Amazon. But this book is free PDF form in our website. You can download it in Shape My Life website. If you want to give a present to your audience, we can put my website address, and they can download this book free. It's an ebook. If you want a hard copy, you can buy it on Amazon, but it's free. It's free for everyone. We want the world to know about this thing. And what this book does is to demystify these things about demons. Demons is a word that is embedded in the American colloquial language. Your demon, you have to deal with your demons. I mean, it's used metaphorically, but it's more real than you want to believe. And but it's not like this Hollywood movie demons with his horns and slimy, all that thing. It's just a fantasy. It's not like that. It's just a bundle of intelligent, amorphous energy that you created, that is in your brain, in your quantum field, that is influencing your synapses to do things that you should not be doing. Listen to this story. There's one person that came with this, thing like that, and it was all this pain. And when it finished, we take pictures before and after, and give it to you so you can see the change in your facial expression, in your muscles. This person had to, when we gave them the phone back, this person needed to use the password because the phone failed to recognize its face. It didn't open. You had to put the code because that's a different person. That's not you.
That is crazy. Okay, we're gonna end this right here. After decades of guiding others, what is the most important lesson you've learned about true healing, and what do you still carry with you today?
My true healing. Well, important lesson. The most important lesson of my true healing, I have never discovered it yet. That means there's more. There's angels. We are angels full of layers and layers of, the S word shit. We are angels. We are divine selves. We are divine sparks of light, that son of the creator, daughters of the creator, that came here to have this experience because somehow we fail and we perpetuate the traumas life after life, if you believe in reincarnation, or in this life, as you said, we're born into trauma. There's ancestral trauma. Epigenetics are proving that is the case. And our mission here is to wake up, and the lesson is that it never ends, because if you're here, it's because you have a mission to become a divine self, and discover that your real self is light. And if I'm not light now, there's more to find out.
So let's tell people where we can find you, and one more plug-in on your retreat.
Oh, okay. Well, visit our website. There's a lot of information in the website. It defines for whom it is. It's a brochure that you can download with all the details and costs, transportation, and all that. There's a YouTube channel that talk about us, shows the facilities that we use. I mean, we have a lot of information. So go to our website, which is shape-my.life. You can put it in your screen, it's even better. Shape My Life. It's not .com, it's .life. So it's Shape My Life. You go there, and you have a lot of information, YouTube channel, free book, the works. And then if this is for you, drop in an email, Julio@Shape My Life, and we coordinate an interview for you. It's free. It's consultation.